the people's representative, are no longer legislators, but what? They are now legislators. And have added over 1 trillion naira to the budget that the people rejected. Budget was anti-people, anti-people's budget. Well, a budget that was filled with a lot of luxurious life, not in any way, no policy in any way to like say, okay, fine, we find ourselves, we are a bankrupt nation, and this is the kind of loan that have been accumulated by the past administration, and we are ready to, reduce our expenses in order to match up with our repayment of this loan, as well as save this country from the inevitable doom that awaits the nation. Now, let's look at the budget for the National Assembly and the ministerial allocation for us to understand what is actually going on under the APC administration. The Jagaban of Africa has turned Nigeria to a country of Jaga. But now, here is the budget allocation to the National Assembly. The House of Representatives on Saturday, December 30th, increased the budget of Nigeria by 1.2 trillion naira. The lawmakers who had a special session to pass the budget increased the estimate of 27.5 trillion presented by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu about 28.77 trillion naira. The report from the House Committee on Appropriation was laid before the House at plenary on Saturday by the chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Honorable Abubakar. 8 trillion 768 billion 513 million 380,852 naira is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 9 billion 995 million 148,298 naira 28 kobo will be for capital project. Capital budget, which was pledged at 87 trillion in the budget presented by the President to the National Assembly, was increased to 9.995 trillion, while recurrent budget was reduced from 9.92 trillion to 8.76 trillion. Debt servicing got 8.270 trillion, while statutory transfer got 1 trillion 782 million. I beg your pardon. Now, this is what the National Assembly did yesterday, and this is what they actually appropriate to themselves, and it's already gotten a lot of reactions from Nigeria. The question now is this: we don't even have money to even fund this budget in the first place, but yet you can see the amount of money that these people have added to the budget, But then, this is the approved National Assembly 2024 budget. The sum of 78.624 billion was approved for House of Representatives, while 145 billion for the Senate, 36.727 billion for the National Assembly office, 30.807 billion for general service, 20.388 billion for legislative aids. All right. Now, 15.189 billion for services without votes. 15 billion for the National Assembly Hospital project. Now, when you look at the 15 billion for the National Assembly Hospital project, I hope that when our senators and House of Rep member got sick, they will not be they will not fly them to Germany, to UK, to Paris, for any medical care. They will receive their medical attention here in Nigeria. Then we have 12.326 million for the National Assembly Service Commission. Then we have 326 million actually. Then we have 12.126 billion for the National Assembly Library Complex takeoff grants. Remember, takeoff grant. So the National Assembly Library Complex takeoff grant, you can see the amount of money there. Then we have 10 billion for the ongoing construction of NAC's headquarters. We have 9.9,800,000 for the National Institution for Legislative and Democratic Study. We have 4.5 billion for the completion of the ongoing large building. We have 4 billion for the National Assembly Recreation Center. We have 4 billion for the design, construction, furnishing, and equipping of National Assembly Budget and Research Office. 4 billion to redesign, for the designing, construction, finishing, equipping of the National Assembly Budget and Research Office. Then we have 3 billion for procurement of books for the National Assembly Library. Wait, are we still buying books for library? I thought we have gone digital. All right. Then we have 3 billion for Senate car park. 3 billion for Senate car park. Now you could see the wastages that we're talking about. How do you appropriate 3 billion for car parks for the senators? 3 billion for House of Representative car park. That is a total of 6 billion naira. Now, moving ahead, we have 3 billion for the upgrade of key infrastructure in the National Assembly. I don't understand. Now, we have 3 billion for the design, construction, and finishing and equipping of the National Assembly ultra-modern printing press. Then we have 2.7 billion for furnishing of committee meeting rooms and other offices within Senate building. 2.7 billion for the equipment. Now, when you look at this committee, this thing is just a room. Then you have tables and chairs. I don't really understand what else they want to put in that room. Is it CCTV camera? Is it the mic they ought to use? I don't really know. Then we have 3 billion for finishing and equipping. Okay, I've said that already. 2.5 billion for the National Assembly Pension Board takeoff grants. All right. Then we have 1.230 billion for the office of the retired clerk and permanent secretary. Jesus. So while Nigerians were celebrating Christmas, traveling from one place to another, 1.230 billion was allocated for the office of the retired clerk and permanent secretary. Wait, they don't get pension. They don't have any other thing to do. Why are they paying them money? And this brings us to the issue of our past leaders that are still collecting a huge amount of money after they have served the country. Now, they have served the country. They are not civil servants. While the civil servants who are supposed to be receiving their pension are even struggling. Some are dying. Some even collapse at the process of collecting their pension after joining long queue in the bank. Now, 1 billion for constitutional review, to review our constitution that we actually need to amend now, if we want Nigeria to stay together. 1 billion naira. 150 million naira for Public Account Committee House. Okay. 200 million for Senate Appropriation Committee. 200 million for the House of Representative Appropriation Committee. Excuse me, I don't know what they are using this 200 million, and 150 million, 130 million. I don't know what all these are meant for. But this was what the National Assembly passed yesterday, being 30th December 2023. We heard from the uncommon Senate President, and of which during that joint section they said they were going to speedily work on this budget presented by Tinubu and see how they can pass it so that the budget can enter into 12-year calendar. It's a good one that we do this in order to have a proper budgetary for 12 months in a year. But excuse me, why not scrutinize this particular budget carefully, going by the fact that Nigerians are suffering and even calling for the excesses in this budget? But then you will not see that being done. They went ahead to do what they actually wanted to do. Now, looking at the approved 2024 budget for the ministries in Nigeria, the Ministry of Defense is going with the highest allocation, which is 1.3 trillion. Now, we have the Ministry of Police Affairs with 869.12 billion. Then Ministry of Education with 857.13 857.134 billion. That's the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare with 667.577 billion. The Ministry of Interior with 362.552 billion. The Ministry of Youth 201.467 billion. The Office of the National Security Advisor 199.763 billion. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs 140.456 billion. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Remember, the country is going through famine right now. We have 110 billion, 248 billion, and the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation going home with 100.248 billion. The Presidency 97.913 billion. That is the allocation to the ministries for the 2024 budget. And I'm going to do a video for these ministries and the budget allocation to those ministries, checking it with what we had before, some countries that are at the same level with Nigeria, and what is obtainable and what we should do better. So you just stick tuned with me as I will bring in details of these allocations to those ministries and what have you. But then, looking at the whole issue surrounding this, how do you allocate such amount of money to Ministry of Agriculture? In fact, education, look at the health sector. Look at the money going to the health sector. When we talk about wastages, this is something that we're talking about. The places that you need to prioritize are not being prioritized. All we know is just how we can steal more money for ourselves. Now, the APC government has sold Nigeria, and the budget of Renew Hope has renewed the hunger, corruption, insecurity, and nepotism once again.